In the headlines, President Muhammadu Buhari orders Emefiele, other political appointees with political ambitions to resign. Nigerians continue to lament the lingering fuel scarcity. 4 killed in attack on Benue community. And on the foreign scene, Chechnya denies sending troops to Ukraine. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Now the news in full. President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered the resignation of Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, and other political appointees seeking to contest the 2023 elections. The order was given in a circular issued by Boss Mustafa, Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Emefiele had been under pressure since some groups purchased the 2023 presidential forms of the ruling All Progressives Congress for him. Governor Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State had asked the president to fire him if he failed to step down, while the opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP, also demanded his arrest over his interest in the 2023 elections. On Wednesday, 3 of the 9 ministers seeking to contest in the 2023 elections quit the cabinet. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari on Tuesday ordered all members of the Federal Executive Council contesting elective positions in 2023 to resign on or before Monday, May 16, 2022. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, announced this on Wednesday while briefing State House reporters on the outcome of the Federal Cabinet meeting at the Council chambers of the Presidential Villa in Abuja. He said only Vice President Yemi Oshibanjo, as an elected official, was exempted. Shafiu Suleiman tells us more on the debate.
Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act 2022 provides that no political appointee at any level shall be voting delegate or be voted for at the convention or congress of any political party for purposes of nomination of candidates for any election. Following the appeal court judgment, the Federal Executive Council directed ministers with political ambition to resign.
All members of the Federal Executive Council aspiring to run for office, either be it president or governor or National Assembly, must resign from cabinet effectively by the 16th, which is Monday.
Minister of State for Education Chukwuemeka Nwajuba is first to quit the cabinet to pursue his presidential ambition. Others with presidential ambition likely to follow suit are Labour and Productivity Chris Ngige, Science and Technology Ogbonnaya Onu, and Minister of State for Petroleum Timipri Silva. Others are Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami, who wants to contest Kebbi State governorship election, as well as Women Affairs Minister Pauline Talon, who is expected to resign to pursue a senatorial ambition in Plateau State. Commenting on the appellate court's position with voided deletion of the section in the Electoral Act, a constitutional lawyer, Sam Kpago, says it is a sound legal interpretation.
When you go to court to ask for a declaratory relief, when you are not in any way connected to the issue and the issue is not even ripe, it becomes an academic exercise. The gentleman who took the matter to court was not in any way a political appointee.
This time around, surprisingly, we have ministers and other political appointees, including Central Bank Governor of Nigeria, disrespecting this legal provision that compels them to resign.
Chief executives of parastatals and other government agencies with political aspirations may also resign to pursue their ambitions. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The House of Representatives on Wednesday amended Section 84, subsection 8A of the Electoral Act 2022 to enable statutory delegates participate in political parties' congresses and conventions. The current Electoral Act, which was assented to by President Muhammadu Buhari on February this year, prevents statutory delegates from taking part in party primaries. The Senate had on Tuesday amended the same section to allow statutory delegates to take part in political parties' congresses and conventions. The amendment followed the consideration and passage of a bill for an act to amend the Electoral Act No. 13, 2022, and related matters presented by the House Leader Alhassan Ado Doguwa at an emergency plenary session summoned by the House. Meanwhile, Majority Leader, House of Representatives Alhassan Doguwa and Chairman, House Committee on Electoral Matters Aisha Duku have given reasons behind the quick passage of the amendment to Section 84, Subsection 8 of the 2022 Electoral Act to accommodate statutory delegates during political parties' convention. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman tells us more.
Speaking shortly after an emergency plenary session convened to address the anomaly, the Majority Leader and Electoral Matters Committee Chairman justified the quick passage of the amendment close to the deadline given by INEC for political party primaries. They debunked claims that the action might be self-serving due to the political aspirations of some principal officers viewed as an attempt to confer undue influence and advantage on some power brokers at both national and subnational levels.
There was this omission that in the context and the content of the law, the electoral legal framework as it were, we have unfortunately, and I think we are human, omitted that aspect. And it has been embodied virtually in all the statutes documents of the political parties. There are provisions in virtually all our political parties for the use of statutory delegates, elected office holders, to participate in the selection process of candidates, which in other words is called party primaries.
So it is not self-serving, and you cannot exclude elected members, from election of either delegates or those to vote at congresses. It is never done, and that is, I said, it is an error, which of course we have seen, and thank God we have seen it before the primary election.
Now that the two chambers of the National Assembly have amended Section 84, subsection 8, to address what they call an unintended error preventing the statutory delegates from participating in their political party primaries, all eyes are on President Muhammadu Buhari to sign the amendment into law. Statutory delegates comprise the President and his vice, governors and their deputies, both serving and former, lawmakers at both federal and state legislative houses, elected council chairmen and their councillors, amongst others. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu on Wednesday led other supporters to submit the presidential nomination and expression of interest forms of the All Progressive Congress for Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. The completed forms were submitted to the party at the International Conference Center, Abuja, on Wednesday. Former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachir Lawal, who obtained the forms, also returned them. A delegation of Tinubu supporters had picked the form for him on April 30th. Meanwhile, politicians in Osun State have been charged to abide by electoral laws to make the forthcoming July 16th governorship election in the state peaceful and acceptable. The coordinator of the National Orientation Agency, NOA, in Osun State, Abiodun Olorupo, gave the charge in Osogbo at a stakeholder summit with the theme, Violence-Free Election in Osun State, Our Collective Responsibilities, organized by the State Command of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC. The NOA coordinator advised political parties to educate their followers on the need to shun inflammatory utterances during campaigns. NSCDC Commandant in the state, Emmanuel Ocheja, ensured of security before, during and after the election, adding that anyone caught perpetrating violence will be dealt with according to the provisions of the law. NSCDC Head of Peace and Conflict Management, Assistant Commandant Abere Oluwafemi, appealed to politicians in the state to shun violence during election.
The essence of our gathering today is because of the forthcoming gubernatorial election in Osun State and the need to allow peace to reign before, during, and after the election. Election is a civil matter, and casting of votes during election is a civic responsibility that should be devoid of any act of violence. As the electioneering
People's Democratic Party presidential aspirant and governor of Bauchi State, Senator Bala Mohammed, has reiterated his commitment to abide by the decision of the party if it eventually adopts zoning arrangements or otherwise. The PDP presidential aspirant stated this during an interview with newsmen shortly after a meeting with Nasarawa state delegates in Lafia, the state capital. Abubakar Abdullahi filed in the report as presented from our studios.
Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State, who is among the presidential aspirants of the leading opposition political party in the country, said he believes in party supremacy as a loyal member of the party and would abide by its decision at any given time. He explained that there was no division or rancor in the party, saying that what the aspirants need from the party was justice, fairness, equity and a level playing ground at all times.
We have the pedigree and the antecedents and the experience and the human capital and the readiness. You can see we're here with our PDP BOT chairman and other elders. We have what it takes to really come together, and we have done it always. We are not divided. There is no rancor, there is no division. Even the dividing issues like zoning and rotation, we are going to surmount it because we are party members. We believe in the supremacy of the party.
Senator Bala Mohammed said he has all it takes to fix the country and leadership which will make the country great. He further said if given the mandate, he would create job opportunities and address security challenges confronting the country and improve its economy. The presidential aspirant therefore urged delegates to support him to enable him clinch the party's ticket. Nasarawa State PDP chairman Francis Orogu, in his remarks, told the PDP presidential aspirant that the state delegates will study all aspirants and channel their votes to whoever will be of benefit to the state and country.
All the political leaders that are coming here are really to sit down and accept them.
The PDP chairman wished the aspirants well in his endeavor.
And the governor of Ekiti State, Kayode Fayemi, was in Gombe on Wednesday to woo the All Progressive Congress delegates ahead of its presidential primaries. Fayemi promised to tackle joblessness, insecurity and the epileptic electricity supply in the country. Addressing the delegates at the Government House Banquet Hall, Fayemi said he threw his hat into the ring after wild consultations with friends and colleagues like Governor Muhammad Inuaya, who assured him of his support. Earlier, the banquet hall, Governor Yahya said Fayemi is qualified to be the president, adding that the presidential hopeful had dexterity, coordination, vigor and energy as rare qualities that stood him out among other APC aspirants. You're watching Trust TV News Update. Still to come after the break, how man abducts neighbor's daughter, buries body despite ransom. This and more after the break. Do stay with us.
Daily, we bring you updates around politics.
People like you who are very young, you have no future. Anybody now who is 30 years, if what is happening to the continues, by the time you are 60, you will have no country.
The DPO of a particular unit does not have to wait until the commissioner tells him what to do within his jurisdiction.
We have political parties on the ground. Some of them have been there for years. But they themselves, in their own sober moments, they know that this country is not the one they're expecting to run.
Policy and governance.
Are you saying the NBS is lying?
I'm saying to you very clearly that the NBS has a serious problem with accurate data till today.
The 5th Assembly, as well as the 7th Assembly, their own attempt were unproductive.
Emergence of the Taliban has simply emboldened terror groups globally.
There is a lot of attention with regards to security developments in Nigeria.
On Daily Politics, we interrogate issues, holding the actors to account, bearing in mind all the sides.
We heard that in some places now, people have to go and pay tax, not to the local government, not to the state, but to criminals.
Nobody can come to your house and kidnap you without information.
If this country is bleeding, it is bleeding because we have failed to educate our young.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Update. Now let's take a look at our top stories. President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered Federal Executive Council members with political ambitions to resign. And Nigerians continue to lament the lingering fuel scarcity. Moving on to other news now, at least 4 people have been killed in an attack on Ayilamo town in Logo local government area of Benue State. Reports say the gunmen stormed the community, broke into homes and shot 4 people to death and left others injured. At the time of filing this report, police spokesperson in the state, SP Catherine Anene, has not responded to calls and messages. Meanwhile, operatives of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Bauchi Command, have arrested 52-year-old Kabir Abdullahi for alleged kidnapping and killing his neighbor's 5-year-old daughter after collecting a ransom of 150,000 naira. The suspect, who is a resident of Narabi in Toro local government area of the state, is said to have connived with one Iyawali, a 45-year-old resident of Raminzayam in the same area, to commit the crime. Adamu Imam has the report.
Parading the suspect at the command's headquarters, the state commandant Nuruddin Abdullahi told journalists that the suspect kidnapped the victim in front of their father's house and took her to a bridge where they strangled her and put the remains in a sack and buried her in an uncompleted kitchen.
This happened on 23rd April 2022 at 1900 hours. Information was received on the alleged kidnapping of a 5 years old girl named Khadija Abdullahi, popularly known as Ilham, at Sabon Garin Narabi, Toro local government, Bauchi State, swung into action and arrested the following suspects: Kabir Abdullahi, male, 52 years, of Narabi village, and Alhaji Awale, male, 45, of Rimin Zayan, all in Toro local government.
He noted that after a series of negotiations, the suspects were paid the sum of 150,000 naira as ransom, which was collected by Alhaji Awali in the bush at Narabi village. The father of the deceased, Abdullahi Yusuf, said he was shocked when he discovered that his trusted friend and neighbor was a killer.
We came from God, and we surely return unto him. This man tied my daughter's neck with a rope until she died. We had to cut the rope with a knife. I had decided to bury her like that, but people around prevailed on me to give her a decent burial. So we had to take her body and bury in a nearby cemetery. That gave me some relief.
In another development, Abdullahi told journalists of the arrest of 2 suspects, Isia Lawal of Deriko village and Musa Ado of Babale village, near Jos, the Plateau state capital, and assured that the command will not rest on its oars until crime is brought to the barest minimum in the state. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
And as fuel queues persist, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, has asked Nigerians to prepare for the worst. Chairman Dabeng speaks to the Vice President, IPMAN, Abubakar Maigandi, for more insight as to why Nigerians should brace up for the worst-case scenario. The report.
Following the dirty fuel saga, which led to cars being damaged and long queues at filling stations, Nigerians must deal with the burden of long hours of waiting at fuel stations yet again. Vice President IPMAN Abubakar Maigandi sheds more light on the recent scarcity.
Most of the filling stations, there is no fuel, including even major marketers and even NNPC itself. Actually, the reason why we have been saying this thing is what we have been telling the government for a very long time. Because we independent petroleum marketers, we normally go to the private depots and buy the product and come and discharge inside our filling station and sell at the government stipulated rate. But because of the non-payment of Petroleum Equalization Fund, which has subjected most of our members to to be in bankruptcy, that they cannot be able to purchase the product because they doesn't have the fund. The fund is already in the petroleum equalization. Right now, the marketers, petroleum equalization is owing marketers a tune of 500 billion naira. So actually, look at the 500 billion naira in the hands of the government. How do you expect the marketers to bring the products?
The association feels that it is problematic that they are not involved or fully informed on decisions taken by the federal government and the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation.
You know, we have already been telling federal government, let them involve us in the system, especially the NNPC. So, but there are a lot of bureaucracy in the NNPC. They cannot allow marketers to have the information of what is really going on. So in the distribution of change, we are not part of the management decision. Okay. So it's a great problem. Even this diesel, which they say they will give us a palliative of diesel, to be using it so that we can be able to bring the product to the down north and other places. Up to now, they didn't give us. The only thing that we may hear that they distributed AGO, but to whom? It's not coming to the marketers.
According to the chairman, Kano chapter of IPMAN, Bashir Damalam, out of 100%, only 5% of the marketers can supply the petroleum products because of the failure of Nigerian midstream and downstream petroleum regulatory authority to pay them. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, motorists in Maiduguri have expressed worry that the increasing fuel scarcity and long queues witnessed in Abuja may sooner or later spread to Borno State. Our correspondent, who monitored the situation in Maiduguri, reports that the residents also fear that the scarcity will come with an increase in the price of diesel and make businesses struggle for survival. The report.
The world health today has not fully recovered from the devastating effect of COVID-19 and its attendant effect on the economic life of the people across the globe. In Africa, the outbreak of COVID-19 in 2019 caught many countries unaware. The World Health Organization says 11.5 million Africans have been infected with COVID-19, with about 253 deaths recorded. Over 26 million fell into extreme poverty, with 20 million citizens losing their jobs to the pandemic. To this end, inaugural meeting of the Conference of Speakers and Heads of African Parliament was hosted by Nigerian, with chief host of the conference and Speaker of the Nigerian House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, raising the alarm over the rising state of insecurity in the continent.
As advocates and representatives of the people, it is our responsibility to set the terms of our national development and ensure that government priorities reflect our citizens' most pressing needs and highest aspirations.
Speaker, House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila also charged Parliament in Africa to guarantee the continent's recovery and growth in the aftermath of the pandemic using enabling laws.
We live in a time fraught with potential and danger, and every government decision we make and every action we take has the potential to substantially remake our world for good or for ill. This is, in effect, one of those defining historic moments.
Other speakers at the event want African leaders and heads of parliament across the continent to be prepared for the further pandemics by strengthening the healthcare sector with the aid of technology. They called for the development of own vaccines by Africans to reduce over-reliance on foreign donations.
We must not be complacent. The next pandemic is just around the corner. God help us. Africa must no longer outsource the health security of its 1.3 billion people to the benevolence of others.
The African continent, I believe, has fared better, certainly not better than several other continents of the world, but was not spared from the scarring effect of the pandemic. Many African countries, of course, have been fairly successful in containing the spread of the virus, but the socio-economic costs have been high. The African economy generally took a bit of a bash, recording over 253,000 deaths, and we heard from the African Development Bank president.
And in the same vein, Nigerians have continued to lament the lingering fuel crisis and the hardship it presents. Speaking to Trust TV in Kano, some motorists expressed dissatisfaction with the persistent fuel scarcity. While calling on the federal government to proffer solutions to the problem, they lamented the number of hours they spend on queues, saying they buy fuel for as much as 188 naira per litre.
On the other side of the government, nobody is happy. After you drop your kids from the school, you move about, the whole day is gone, waiting for fuel scarcity. So that's all I can say. We keep hoping till we die. Naturally, that's how it is. Because nobody is happy about this fuel scarcity. Believe you me, only those who are in government, that they can give their cars and call somebody in the filling station, my car is on the way, fill it up. I was here since morning. And you see the fuel scarcity, see the line is moving very slow.
Before, we used to spend like 2 hours in the queue. But now, if you can exercise patience, just in 30 minutes, you can able to get the fuel. But the filling station, they are selling the same price like before, but some, they are different prices.
Okay, so what are the prices?
The price now is 188, 190. So it's different station, different price. But like this Aliko and the Renault, they are selling it at the same price like before. That is 165 per litre.
And now a look at the foreign scene, where President of the Republic of Chechnya in Russia's Caucasus region, Ramzan Kadyrov, has denied claims that he has sent Chechen soldiers to fight for Russian interests in the eastern Ukrainian city of Donetsk. But he said he had 74,000 men at his disposal if he was planning such an attack. Speaking to Russia's REN television channel, Kadyrov said that so far only 14 Chechen volunteer fighters had gone to Donetsk, but he denied any role in sending them. On the contrary, Kadyrov said he was actually stopping volunteers from going to Ukraine. The Chechen leader also said that if he were to send his soldiers to Ukraine, he would not send them to Donetsk. Rather, he will send them to the capital, Kyiv, as that is where the enemy is. And that wraps up Trust TV News Update for this hour. Don't forget, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.